Delta 547, wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
Taxi via Juliet.
Air traffic controllers protect our nation's airways. These are the stories of real air traffic controllers to boldly deliver a safe, orderly, and expeditious flow of air traffic from their departure point to their final destination.
Wind 19016, runway 22 right, clear for takeoff.
Runway 22 right, clear for takeoff, Delta 547.
What about the idea of pilot licenses for controllers? Do you guys have that available in your facility or in your area that for getting a license?
You know, they did a statistic.
The license to get a pilot, like separate license?
Yeah, as a controller?
You know, they did a statistic, Bob, when we went to the academy, of the people who made it through the academy, and the pilots are the ones that didn't make it through the
Because they had to
academy.
forget what they knew.
They had a much higher washout rate. But you know the problem with the whole FAA, and it's the same today as it was 30, 40 years ago. You know, when Reagan fired all the controllers, they needed 10,000 controllers overnight. So they hired 10,000 controllers within the first 3 or 4 years. But we all had to retire at age 56. So they're all out the door. And the whole time we were in the agency, all we worried about was how many controllers do you have? What's the time on position? How can we cut staffing as much as possible? Not realizing that, hey, you know what? In about 2015 or so, we're going to lose 80% of our workforce again. And we're not prepared. And so they need to just bite the bullet, hire what they need, and then bite the bullet again and continue to hire and have this overflow, whether you work 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day, until they know that they will be able to sustain that.
And that's what I was saying, you got that big basketball.
There's no long-term thinking, it's always short-term thinking,
Yeah,
right
what
there.
they need to do is, you're right, get that basketball going, get them trained, but as the basketball gets trained, they need to fill in
You can
behind
remember
it.
near the end of our time, it was how much time do you have a day on position? You need to get your time up because we're gonna lose controllers if you don't get your time up. And we were all sitting there going, yeah, in about 10 years, you're gonna lose us all anyway. And they don't,
And then when they go to do the hiring. I mean,
it's like your son, he's a fireman, right? Or if, you gotta pay people to sit around and do nothing for the times that you really need them. You know, just think if you were in the fire department, they said, well, we don't have any fires today, so we're only gonna have one person on call.
And you know, to his credit, there was 2 reasons that he was a controller and he got hired by the FAA and he had a choice coming out of the Air Force, right? He goes, first of all, the salaries are too low. Back then it was 2000, I want to say 2007, 2008-ish, something like that. And they had they put in that for a short period, a 2-tier pay system, right? He goes, Dad, I'm going to go to Chicago and make less than what I was making in the Air Force. That's not happening. He says, besides, he says, I want to have a family. And he says, and I see what the watch schedule that you guys work has done to the family. Because you know, try to make it to a baseball game when you're a quick turnaround from a day to a night shift. And all those things that interrupted, right? So one of the things that can be done is, I tell people all the time, the guys that work for me now, this is their work schedule. Morning, then 24 hours off. Then afternoon, then 24 hours off. Then night shift, and then 4 days off. You don't have to work everything inside a government 7-day period, right? They work 6 shifts on, 4 shifts off. They're always well rested, right? Those kind of things add to longevity, and you get, you're still working afternoons and nights, but you get more opportunity and family stuff like that.
I remember they wanted to do that when we come in.
I understand that, but
the controllers didn't want it. They wanted that long weekend.
part of it is that.
Shift, right?
Well, you want to because
swing,
those are your
swing,
options.
right.
Those are your options because that's what you got. You got to get it all within a government work week, right? The 56 year that probably needs to be looked at too. Some careers can end way later than that. That's a medical issue, right? They take away your medical when you turn 56, right?
Over
That's how
there,
they
do
do
they
it.
have a mandatory 56 or
No,
what do they have?
nobody in the world has
Well,
mandatory
they're raising
56
it.
except for here,
They're raising it now to 60.
right? Ours is
61.
60, and you can get exemptions, right? Most of the world is 60, and most of the world works that same watch schedule that I'm talking about. The FAA is the only one who crams 40 hours worth of work into
So
7-day
two
period,
shifts,
right?
24, 2 shifts, 24, two
Two
shifts.
But you know, they tried
And
that.
then 4 days, yeah.
They tried that in plenty of places where you work a straight week of day shifts, then a straight week of mid shifts, and a straight week,
Yeah.
and they
So we did in
controllers
New
didn't
York.
want it.
No, I
You know?
don't. I did it for 5 years at Jack's.
Yeah.
Yeah, some facilities do
Well,
do it.
the way we did it, Jerry can tell you, we worked, 3, 2, a 7 or mid, a 12, a 6 or 7, then
And
went
then
to
a mixer.
mid. And then you did that for 8 weeks and then you rotated backwards.
Yeah, I remember that.
A 2-2-1.
But, and what did we all talk about when we worked there?
Huh?
When we were drinking beer together on the weekends and stuff like that, it was always how exhausted we were and how we were, working for the next shift. You know what I'm talking about? Controllers had that common thing
got that
of
time off of
being
it.
exhausted all the time, right?
Yeah.
And then I just remember the transition to overseas work. It's like, I almost had too much time off. It's like, even when I was training, I trained 6 days and then I had 4 days off, right? And it's like, well, I'm going to forget everything that I just learned in those 6 days and I was so used to having it packed in. It was like, so nice to be able to breathe in and out and not feel exhausted all the time, because you are, quite frankly, as a controller in that watch schedule, whatever you do, you're kind of fatigued most of the time, and you don't even realize that the fog you're working through all the time. And then when we were younger, we partied all the time and burned it at both ends and stuff like that
Well,
too.
well, my son's coming up to that now. He's going to be 45 years old. And before, I work mids, I work double mids. Now he's getting to be 45. He doesn't want to work any mids. And I said, I remember when I turned 45, 46, mids were killers. And it'd take me all weekend to recover to get back to the week. And